built those little chips that go in like TVs, cameras, the cell phone towers. And when I'm home, I would be doing something like cooking, reading books. I'd be watching TV or tinkering with my gadgets like this. Um, when neither at home nor at work, I like to travel. I like to be itinerant. And I like to travel at places that are devoid of concrete. So that would be natural places. So that would include stuff like hiking. Sometimes you like to go for skiing, once scuba diving, and it's a lot of fun. And also like driving long road trips. And in 2 weeks, we'll be flying to Austin and then driving all the way back home from there. So we're excited for that. So photography comes along with my fondness to travel. And our eyes are very good in HDR and panorama, means it exceeds anything that any camera has. But what it lacks is accurate memory retention. And that's what cameras have gifted all of us. I like shooting landscapes and then looking at them later and then just be awed by, oh wow, we visited that place. And I like shooting abstracts. And I'm working on my people photography skills right now. That takes me back in my memory lane. I was in my 6th or 7th grade and I got my first camera. It was a film camera. You know when it runs out of film, you have to load in a new film and making sure that the film latches onto that spindly thing, that gear thing. And you know what happens if you miss that? So I've seen that. It is a lot of fun. And then I got busy with studies, like 10th grade to undergrad, and fast forward to 2005 when I landed in US and I started my master's. And somehow I again pick up on my photography. So other thing I like is building stuff. I like building stuff. It started with the Legos. I remember putting in that last piece of that puzzle in the Lego and finally making the little earth mover move its shovel. You press the little air piston and the shovel moves up and down. And it's so amazing. I was so excited. I was so intrigued by how the pneumatic engineering works in those little things. And like building Legos, my other constructive hobby was painting. I like to paint those color by numbers. So number 1 would be red, number 2 would be blue, and so on. And you'd fill in the reds, greens, and blues. But what's more interesting is that you'd also fill in the reds plus blues, the reds plus greens, the reds plus blues plus greens. And you'll have like hundreds of different shades of colors on your painting. And it was a lot of fun to see your a lively painting emerge out of the whiteness on paper. So, with my share of constructive hobbies, I also had the destructive ones. I've always been curious. I was curious to see what happens if I hold on to the blender base with my hands and see if I can hold on to it tight. No blades were involved, but I was curious. I was curious to see what happens if 2 bikes collide, and the point of contact must be the front tires only. And I was riding one of them. I was curious to see what happens if I try to escape my timeout in a creative way. So my room was on the 2nd floor, and I just jumped down 10 feet down. So I got answers to all of those. Doctor's visit, doctor's visit, doctor's visit. And as a disclaimer, I'm not that descriptive anymore. So many years ago when my dad visited the US, he got me a set of those books with electronic projects from Radio Shack. And it had projects like how to build an audio amplifier, how to build a radio transmitter, a lie detector, a clap detector, and so on. And that was back when I was in India in high school. I was too young to understand how those things work. But what caught me, what was awe-inspiring was that I can make them. All I needed was get the parts and put them together. And one of my dad's friends is an electrical engineer, and I'd bug him now and then, means getting answers out of him. That how does this thing work? How does the transistor work? What are the common bays? What are common emitter and all those things? And none of that made sense to me, even though he tried to explain me in plain English. And those trying to know the whys and hows of those electronic components is what inspired me to be an electrical engineer. And the root of all this was curiosity. In a closing, I'd like to say that it is fun to think about your past and try to connect your dots to your present. Eventually, it all comes in together. You are who you are at the very core. Thank you.